Hello, fabulous superstar Virgo. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of August 2023. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. It is a remarkable astrological month, without a doubt. Big moves happening in the sky now. Boy, is this a very special time. This is a month, a blue moon month at that is set to be very powerful, emotional, lots of energy and emotion stirring within so many of us out there. We begin the month and end the month on full moons. And this ultimately is about getting honest with ourselves about what we really feel. And that includes for you as well. Right out of the gate at the beginning of the month, well, that full moon takes place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your daily life, your habits or rituals. It has to do with a depth of understanding into the sacredness of your days. It has to do with your work, the type of work you're doing, your clients, your customers, your coworkers, your work environment. And it also has to do with how well you take care of you, your health-related habits at that. And this full moon is rather fascinating. It has a quick-moving alignment with Mars in your sign. And so there's a lot of energy and adrenaline that can just show up, inspiring change. But we've also got Jupiter making a square configuration to this full moon. And I see that energy as overconfidence, overestimation, overshooting the mark in some way. It is energy that can have such high expectations, which is a wonderful thing. Initiating change, again, a wonderful thing, but there are key details there that are not being seen very clearly. Do be mindful with this. Of course, whatever you feel inspired to do in light of your unique circumstances is a wonderful thing. But it is going to be just days into a new month that Mercury in your sign will enter shadow. The 23rd of the month, Mercury will go retrograde in your sign and will stay retrograde right to the middle of September, at which time Mercury will go direct, will leave shadow at the very end of September. So you are on the precipice of this very important Mercury retrograde season that's going to have you looking at who you know yourself to be, what matters to you most, what matters to you first. The fact that it is that Mercury retrograde season, the larger season, that's going to define so much of this month, it does tell me that it is very possible that you may implement changes now. And then you'll have to reconsider what this actually says about you. It's one thing to shift your habits, make little refinements, but it's another thing when those arise from a shift in identity. And that's where the questioning is. That's where there might be a sense of going one way and then realizing that you actually want to go another. And that really is okay. You have a right to change your mind, to experiment with your life, to figure out who you are. And the answers are always going to be different at different phases in your life. Now, the other way that this energy might play out is clients, customers, coworkers over-promising, overconfident. It might not be intentional, but it could be as well. But you do need to take whatever it is that's coming at you from these people, their assessments, their promises, their timelines. Take it with a bit of a grain of salt and some grace as well. And that goes for you also, where it is that you are making promises to these people. You might want to be a little bit tempered. Where it comes to health-related habits, well, with that square to Jupiter, one of the more immediate ways that I see this playing out is a possibility of maybe mixing up some medications or something like that that you have to do every day. So just make sure you're really diligent with that. If you're looking to make changes on that front, be meticulous. I know you know how to do that, and that way you'll be able to move through this time. It seems like there's a lot of hope that you can make changes. Perhaps you're feeling really good and you feel like you don't need a certain medication anymore, a certain supplement anymore. And that's always up to you to decide in light of your unique circumstances. And you know, I'll always tell you, do whatever it is that's right for you to do in light of your unique circumstances. But what this energy does suggest is overshooting the mark, over optimism, And these are things that you might want to be mindful of, especially where it comes to how well you're taking care of you. Virgos are wonderful at paying attention to their own bodies, how their bodies feel, the minute movements within. You know when something's off and you know when it isn't. So stay in touch with that part of you as you're refining your way forward. But again, you have a right to change whatever you want and at any time, and you have a right to go back as well. And so it's a good idea to stay in a space of experimentation. That's going to help you to navigate this time. Mid-month, we do have a new moon on the 16th of the month. This new moon is in the sign just before yours, having to do with what's happening behind the scenes and on levels of soul, psyche, and spirit. It has to do with what's stirring within, but it's also about the things that maybe you're not necessarily aware of. Sometimes that has to do with some external person, place, thing, situation. Sometimes it's just about ourselves, what's within, what's really going on within ourselves we haven't wanted to really look at or haven't been able to in some way. Here's the thing though, this particular new moon is close in the sky to a retrograde Venus. And so it's going to awaken some of that Venusian energy. This part of the sky has to do with sleep as well, but I think that's going to be challenging. And I say that because Uranus is exactly forming a conversation of tension, a square formation to this new moon. And that is a surprise a minute. That is awareness. That is, even for some Virgos out there, shock. Like what you didn't know in an instant, you know. And it changes so much. It contributes to a new beginning. Now that could just be a seed moment within. That could be related to something external that has you realizing that perhaps you're ready for some new pathways to open up for you. The energy can be rather remarkable, and it can be energy that is in its own way inviting you to understand yourself more deeply. And so because this part of the sky has to do with sleep, when I normally see important lunar activity here, I would say make sure you're getting enough rest. That can calm otherwise frustrating or uncertain energy. And that might be true, but because the very nature of Uranus is to jolt you with awareness, I would not be surprised if you were sleeping and in an instant you got right up with realization. Oh, that's what that person was actually telling me. That's what this particular endeavor actually entails. That's what I was really doing. I didn't realize how that could be interpreted before. And that insight can change so much for you. Navigating forward from here, dramatic closures that also bring with them potentials for new beginnings become possible. And I also think that in an instant, you may come to realize that you have so much more yet to do in this lifetime. Connect to that knowing in heart. All the details don't need to be figured out just yet. At the end of the month, we have our blue moon, and that is a full moon in your opposite sign, having to do with partnerships of all kinds. Business partnerships, professional alliances are covered here as well. And that full moon is hand in hand with Saturn. It's also making a quick moving alignment with Mars, just like the full moon at the beginning of the month. But by that time, Mars will not be in your sign. It'll be newly in a brand new part of your sky. And this is rather fascinating. Partnership and money can get tricky. So be mindful of that. And especially where it is that you are sharing prosperity or working together for shared prosperity. That can be where it feels like there are moments of fast action, of needing to respond very quickly, maybe of inspiration as well. But the thing is, Saturn is conjunct this full moon. And what that tells me is it's a time of honesty. It's a time of seriousness. Mercury will be retrograde in your sign. So you're thinking or rethinking who you are and what you really want, what your priorities are. But that conjunction is revealing a truth of a different kind than the one we have mid-month. Mid-month, a Uranian truth is surprising and shocking. A Saturnian truth is look at the evidence. It is about being real with yourself, being responsible, and making choices that fuel self-respect, rooted in reality. There's also an emphasis on culmination and closure with this energy. Full moons tend to bring with them that. You add to it Saturn so close to a full moon, and it amplifies the likelihood of having to see and honestly evaluate a situation. But a lot of this energy, I think, is going to play out for most Virgos out there in the context of love. And where it comes to matters of love, another person is likely to come very powerfully in focus. I mean, we do have Venus retrograde right into the early days of next month, but with the mid-month new moon, because Venus is in that sign just before yours, there may be key things happening in love that just aren't as clear as you would like as part of making any kind of decision or assessment. But that full moon is different. By the time we get to that full moon, Venus is standing still in the sky. And so this is where truths about heart are amplified for all of us out there. What we really feel is amplified for all of us. But then that full moon in your opposite sign is saying, make a decision, make a choice, get real with yourself. What is this person actually showing you? That's going to be the guiding question. From there, you get to make a choice. Now, for those of you open to meeting someone new, I do think that full moon is about you looking at where you are in love and why, how you feel about it, and finding a level of acceptance for it also. Now, where it is that you might have held on to disappointments or hurts from the past, that is okay, that happens, but you may have to face the fact that that's what's really going on. And that invites you to look at whether or not you actually want to be with someone. Now, it could be that you are having an interaction with another person as we get to the end of the month. And this person in some way is very serious. Sometimes with this, they might have some depression issues. I'm sorry to say, it is a part of life at times. There might be a sense of a big age difference as well. But new people you meet, ultimately, it is about you having an honest evaluation about love and where you are with that and how you feel about that. In getting honest about who another person is, you get to get honest about you, find a level of self-respect in that. For those of you just starting to date someone, well, look, yes, Venus is retrograde, but by the time we get to that full moon, you are really looking at this person, what you're hoping for, and whether or not they can be a partner to you. I do think that as we end this month and at the very beginning of next month, the Virgos, more than any other sign, are probably going to feel like it's decision time. Like, okay, this person has shown you who they are. Are you going to believe it or not? Are you going to accept it or not? And as you are evaluating the truth about this person, it's going to be very all or nothing. It's going to be either it accelerates towards commitment or you realize that this has run its course and you're not going to navigate further. And for those of you in an established bond, what a remarkable time this can be. Now, in the context of established bonds, it can be a special time. It can be a time that invites you to look at the depth of connection the two of you share. It is possible if you know your relationship is good and strong, the full moon like this makes it evident, makes it that much more clear that you feel that strength in the bond, the depth of commitment in this bond. But where there's been any doubt or question, I think this is going to be a time where you're having to accept some truths, look at things more practically, and figure out the best way forward for you. By the time we get to that new moon, there is stark honesty that will show up very quickly for you. Now, regardless of your relationship status, I do also want to mention with that Mars energy and that full moon energy, money and love can get really tricky. Money and love can pop up, but they really don't mix. And so it's going to be up to you to decide how to navigate that in light of your unique circumstances. If it is that you are in an established bond and you've had doubts for a while, you've questioned whether or not you're in the right relationship for you, as we get to the end of the month, you're going to find your answer. And you'll also be connecting it to yourself and self-love and connecting it to being real with yourself. It's a turning point moment, all or nothing. What I love about this month for you, there's so much here. It's a powerful and meaningful astrological moment. I am going to say, I do think that full moon at the end of the month is a really big deal. The energies of the first full moon and the new moon, those parts of the sky, they're not nearly as active, if you will, or engaged, as you will, as when you have important lunar activity in your opposite sign. You'll be seeing yourself differently as reflected in the eyes of another. And that doesn't mean that you take someone else's opinion about you on as your own, but it does mean that you get honest with yourself about who you are and whether or not certain alliances are working for you, whether professional or personal or romantic. It is a turning point moment rooted in being real. From there, the choices you make will fuel a healthy sense of self-respect, even if it feels easy in the moment, even if it feels hard in the moment. Ultimately, that is the path that you are on. Well, thank you so much for watching. You can get a video like this each and every week for each and every sign for as low as just $3 a month with Choose Your Membership rate at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. You get expanded, exclusive video scopes, access to exclusive live events, perhaps even consultations with me, Synchronicity University passes, and so much more. All of that in the Superstar space at NadiyaShahSuperstars.com. Links are in the description below. Thank you so much again for watching. It'll be a great month. Enjoy.